Hey everyone. In this video, I want to show you how you can add your own samples to my drum creation tool for Ableton Live called DRUMR. If you're looking for a detailed walkthrough about what DRUMR is and how it works, there's a separate video that you can watch, and I'll include a link to that in the description of this video. DRUMR comes with a collection of sample content that you can use for creating your own drum sounds, and I've tried with the included content to have quite a wide range of different sounds to give you lots of possibilities for creating your own drums. Regardless, you still might want to add in your own sounds to be able to see what kinds of different results you can get. Just a fair warning at this stage though, you will need Ableton Live Suite to be able to do this because we need access to the sampler device. So if you've got Live Lite, Intro or Standard, you're not going to be able to add your own samples to DRUMR. We'll also go through some slightly more advanced concepts like chains and zones, and I'm not going to talk too much about exactly what those are, but if you want to learn more about them, I'll include some links in the description of the video. But even if you don't know much about chains and zones, we'll hopefully go through each step of the process for adding your own samples in a way that you'll still be able to do it fairly easily. Okay, so let's dive in. First, I need to open up the DRUMR rack, which I can do by clicking this button over here. This now shows me the devices inside DRUMR. I'm only concerned with this device over here, and I can double-click to open it up. So this is Live's simpler device, which at the moment has our samples contained within it. In order to access and edit those samples, we need to right-click on the device's title bar and choose the Simpler to Sampler option to convert this to a sampler. Again, just reminding you, you're going to need Ableton Live Suite to have access to the sampler device. So here now I have the sampler and I can start to access my sample content. If I click this zone button, it opens up my sample zones where I can see all the samples contained within the rack. For now, I'm going to focus on my select zones. So what you'll see here is that each sample is divided into its own range within my select zones, and I can use the sample select control to move this little orange bar at the top to choose which sample I'm accessing. So this is where we're going to add in our own samples, and we can have up to 128 different samples in here. So there's no need to delete the included content. You can just simply add on top of it. So I've got a few samples that I'm going to work with here in the browser. I'll select these, and I can simply drag and drop these into my zones, and it adds in those samples. By default, it's going to set the samples range to cover the entire select zone, which is not going to be what I want, because now if I were to play a sound, I'm going to get all of these sounds triggered at once. So I need to separate these out into their own distinct ranges. Fortunately, there's a very easy way to do this in Live. If I right-click on this bar up at the top, I can choose Distribute Ranges Equally, and you'll see how it equally distributes the ranges for the samples that I have selected. So now I obviously want to do this for all my samples, so I'm going to select all of my samples, right-click again and choose Distribute Ranges Equally, and you'll see that now each sample has its own distinct range within my zone. Now that my samples are loaded up, I can hide my zones by clicking the Zone button again. And if you want, you can right-click and choose to convert this back to a simpler. Double-click to minimize the device, and hide the device chain by clicking this button here again. Now the next step is for me to save my new DRUMR device with the included samples so that every time I load it up, those samples are there. If you navigate in Live's browser to wherever you save your presets, whether that's the user library or somewhere else, you can simply drag and drop this DRUMR device into the browser, and Live's going to start saving it for you. Now you'll see that Live's automatically created a project folder to save the DRUMR instrument within. And now this is necessary for any devices in Live that use samples, because you'll see in a moment when I hit enter to save this device, Live's going to automatically create a samples folder and move all the sample content into it. So here's this samples folder, And if I look inside it, you'll see here are all the samples that are included within my DRUMR rack. So now it's important that you don't move this DRUMR device out of the project folder, because you're going to run into issues where samples can get unlinked. So make sure that if you want to move this around, you move the entire DRUMR project folder. So that's it. You should now have a custom DRUMR device with your own samples. If there are any questions, please post them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.